Hello, Krimh. This is Dimitris calling from Chicago and Metalkaoz. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We have some very interesting stuff to discuss.
Oh yeah.
We have Septic Flesh on a very, very stuck, stacked building. Oh my goodness. A very heavy building.
Yes, correct.
So, from your perspective, how different will this tour be compared to the last times Septic Flesh have been in North America?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be definitely different because it's a bigger package. It's bands we usually are not touring with, so this was one of the main reasons we actually said yes to this tour. Because to be honest, we didn't plan to go on tour right now. We
Mm.
are in the middle of writing a new album, but then this offer came, and we were like, "This is too good to not take it." And then we were going through all the numbers and checking if it's possible to do so, because it was a killer lineup, and because it's five bands and we are kind of stuck in the middle. Is of course it's going to be also different in terms of we cannot perform as long as we usually do. But I'm hoping that we will gain some new fans, that we will meet new people at the show that maybe have heard about Septic Flesh, but it's the first time they're going to see us. Of course, I'm a huge fan of all the other bands, specifically Arch Enemy. Daniel Erlandsson is one of my favorite drummers ever. He has been a big inspiration since my early days when I rehearsed and practiced to their songs back in the day. So yeah, but I'm really looking forward that for this tour that we will have the chance to play in bigger venues and have a different kind of audience.
Of course, of course. And what does that mean, though, for the set list? Because, as you said, you won't have as much time as you will normally do in a headlining tour. So, how do you pick and choose? Because some of the songs Septic Flesh have are long, right?
Correct. This is we haven't discussed exactly which songs will end up on the set list. We will have this heated discussion for sure. It's gonna be. It will happen pretty soon. But yeah, it's really difficult. Septic Flesh has been a band for so long, even though we are focusing mainly at, I would put it the second half of Septic Flesh. It has
Mhm.
been the earlier years. But nevertheless, we have so many albums out and so many hit songs. And correct, some of those songs are 5, 6 minutes long. That we will definitely have to make a very good decision, which hit songs we're gonna do. To be honest, we're not gonna play anything completely new because this is not the right time. We rather, I think, is the time to, I guess, take songs which have also a good live atmosphere in terms of good parts to engage the audience. I think this is going to be our main focus. And once we will return, with a headlining tour or, something like this where we can actually play longer, then we can take different kinds of material.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we kind of said in the beginning, you have to consider that there will be very younger or fresh ears in the audience. So
Yeah,
you need to find a way to introduce the band and say, hey, if you like the two headliners, here's Septic Flesh. Here's what they
exactly.
can do for you.
Exactly. So it will be a best of in a way. And once we have a new album out, then we can put new material out. But for this tour, yeah, it's just too short of a set, and we want to be like convince people from the first note, from the first song, and give them a best of Septic Flesh.
Yeah. So you have said at least twice, you have mentioned the new album.
Correct.
So I want to ask, of course, how deep are you guys in the process?
Very deep. This has been our main focus, to be honest,
Hmm.
for this year, and we've been working the last months on new material. To be honest, we started really collecting ideas at the end of last year. Septic Flesh has never been known for releasing a lot of albums, and sorry, not this was wrong. We are not known for releasing very frequent albums. There's always a long time gap between them, and this is the case again. But yeah, we are 5 composers, so it's all of us bringing ideas to the table. And at the beginning, it always goes a bit slow, but right now we are kind of finalizing the song ideas. Let's put it this way: which of the ideas can be a potential song.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we have just a few shows here and there. It's always a bit tricky to stop the writing process and go back into the live show mode. But yeah, it goes pretty well. What I can say so far is that the material is definitely more on the heavier and faster side. So it's going to be an album that is a bit more pushing compared to our previous things. But yeah, it's quite intense, but we feel confident it's gonna be a good album.
So in your mind, do you think that playing live while working on a new album can be a distraction or actually help you a bit? Because, if you are very focused on new music, trying to make things work, or I don't know, playing live can give you an extra push.
I would say it's more the fact that I feel a bit rusty when I go on stage whenever I have, those single shows. And I guess it's for the other guys as well. Because if you have a tour, you have like, let's say the first 2-3 shows, you kind of get into the live show mode. And then from there on, it feels like a smooth ride. Let's put it this way. You know what to expect. You feel comfortable on stage. Versus now, we have like one show every 2 months. And then it's not that I fly back to Greece to rehearse. So we literally meet up at the show. And we go on stage and we play, of course, songs we have played many times, but it's always a different thing when you have to go on stage, and it always feels like that first initial day on tour. So it's always a bit rough. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes you feel like you're not really as focused, or you don't feel the looseness, of playing. And I personally, for me, that writing and being at home and working on ideas versus these live shows, I get what you want to say with that it gives you a push, but for me personally, I don't think it overlaps too much. It's two different worlds.
Although this may also say that you are being very hard on yourself. And
well, always,
Because, let's be honest here. Will I be able, I'm a fan, I'm not a musician, will I be able to say if Krimh, I don't know, missed that beat or missed that feel?
Drummers potentially will know, but I'm totally aware of there's a different thing between the audience and myself on stage. And in the end, of course, the most important thing is that the audience has a great time. However, I want to be also on stage and feel comfortable and feel, being in the moment and feel the captain of the ship, Because sometimes you feel like there's this muscle memory, the autopilot going on, but you don't feel really comfortable. You kind of just, either you're tired or you just, it's a normal thing. And of course, not every show can be the same. I'm totally aware of this. But in the end, I'm aiming for that the audience feels great and that I also have a good time, because I want both to happen.
So let me pretend that I know stuff, and I will ask you kind of a technical question. So,
sure.
SepticFlesh have orchestrations, right?
Yes.
Have already recorded parts that they use. So, as a drummer, how much freedom do you have to change a little bit things and make it even more interesting for you if you are playing, I don't know, 15 shows in a month?
Yeah, so correct. We do have backing tracks of the orchestra, which obviously cannot change. So everything is played with a click track. The songs are in a certain arrangement. We do sometimes change the arrangement compared to the album. That happens, for example, the song Martyr. For the live show, we extended the break a bit more to have more involvement of the crowd, to prepare them for a mosh pit. When we do orchestral shows, we change the arrangement quite often of certain songs. So these are the tricky parts. When you go to an orchestral show, you have to keep in mind that the song has changed. Different intro, certain sections got longer, or the outro got cut off. But yeah, for me personally, it is like none of the guys will be mad or will ask me like, why, what happened during this part? You know, why did you change it? I mean, I do often play it very similar, but you know, I still have freedom to change the fills. So I guess this is the thing where I can spice it up for myself, is to, you know, experiment a little bit with certain rhythmical parts. I want to keep, of course, the main song as it is, because, you know, there are certain drum fills or there are certain grooves that people want to hear, and it's recognizable for that song, so I cannot change it. But all the other things, you know, like the groove, how much groove I put inside, do I play with some ghost notes and change the fill a little bit here and there. These are kind of the things I'm able to change on the fly, and that makes it interesting for me.
When you mentioned the new album, I wanted to ask, you had the Amphibians EP. So is there any connection between those songs in the and the new album, or those whatever we hear in the EP is for the EP and has nothing to do with the upcoming album?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the upcoming album. And to
Okay.
be totally honest with you, we recorded that whole material for Amphibians while we recorded Modern Primitive. So it is actually material that we recorded back in the day, and we planned to release, but because of the whole pandemic and other problems, everything got postponed. And so I wish we would have released those things earlier, but actually it's the same time frame. So the new material has completely nothing to do with Amphibians.
Okay, okay. And just making sure that people know that you are not just a drummer, because you write riffs, you write
Yeah.
you are actually a full-fledged composer, and you have a solo band that you play everything. So your role in this album, and maybe in the previous ones, right, is also getting involved in the songwriting.
Correct. Yeah, like I said, we are 5 songwriters, and it includes myself. So I
Correct.
pick up the guitar, and we do have certain, let's put it this way, certain jobs in the band where we split the workload. So we have Sotiris, who does all the lyrics. He's also writing lots of riffs and songs. Also, Seth is really involved in the songwriting and composition process. And I would say specifically Seth and myself are the guys who are good with the song arrangement. So often the other guys will bring in riffs and ideas, but we will kind of chop them into pieces and perfect the puzzle so that it's a nice song structure. Then you have Christos, who is the mastermind of orchestration, and you know, has all those orchestra parts that can be sometimes chaotic for us, not for him, because you know he's a crazy composer, and we kind of have to go into his mind, and we have to, you know, figure out what he means. Sometimes we also chop up his parts. So he's very good with orchestration. And he's also composing, but he's, for example, not so good with the song structure arrangement. He leaves this to other people. Yeah, and when I write things, my riffs are mainly the rhythmical parts, and
Okay.
so the catchy melodies or the typical SepticFlesh melodies are obviously written by the main guys, you know, Sotiris or Spiros or Christos. But yeah, so it's very nice to be in a band. Even though I'm the drummer and I write most of the drum parts, I am also able to be so involved in the whole album, you know, helping with song arrangement, helping with riffs also. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure the band appreciates that, because you are not just one guy doing a specific thing. It's
Yeah.
nice to have someone doing more stuff. You mentioned the difference between playing live with an orchestra and playing the, let's say, the regular Septic Flesh shows. And the band has a very, very interesting show in Plovdiv, right?
Yes.
You're playing another ancient place. Cannot find the right word right now. So, how different is, from your perspective, getting ready and actually perform with an orchestra?
Yeah, it is quite different. For me personally, you know, and also for For Christos, so well, let's say for half of the band, the whole process of an orchestral show happens many months before the actual concert, because
Or,
we have to think about the set list. We have to think about rearranging certain sections. So that's actually where Christos puts all his input inside. Like he has an idea where he can use different kind of musical pieces he has written and combine it with a song of ours, and then he will give it to me and to Psycho, to Dinos, who is doing all the technical things, preparing all the the click tracks and whatnot. And I also will check with Christos that the scores are correct, because we play everything with a click track still. So the conductor has a click track, I have a click track, and we have to make sure that the click he hears, the conductor, matches the scores, because classical musicians will count everything, and if the scores and the bars are wrong, then there's a problem. So we have to, in advance, prepare a lot of things, and then we send it to the maestro, we send it to the orchestra. We have to make sure that all the sheets are correct, and then they will print it. So before actually going to the first rehearsals, we have to make sure that from our side all the material is perfect, so that the musicians can play that stuff. And then it's quite an intense process right before, because those classical musicians usually play other things, so they are not like us. They are like, we prepare, or I'm usually like, right now I'm already practicing for that specific show at home, just to the new arrangements, just to feel comfortable repeating all of it. But those classical musicians will probably look at the notes just a day or two before the first rehearsals, I believe. And then you have a couple hours per day rehearsals with them, let's say 6 hours a day, 2 days before the show. It's really intense. So it's like 3 hours in the morning, little break, 3 hours in the evening.
oh,
For me, it's horrible, because playing so much drums and intense drums, I'm always kind of dying during those rehearsals. And then at the end, you have to still perform, right?
of course. But then, during the
yeah.
show, it's all about the adrenaline.
True, but I always feel very exhausted. So like the first Acropolis show we did was really a fight for me personally, because
Oh my.
the whole process of those, it was the first time for us, and it was so intense during the rehearsals. And then also at the show day we had sound check at 11 in the morning, the band, and then the orchestra came, and then you play another 1 hour with the orchestra, and then you should eat something and rest, but you're just overhyped and overstimulated, and then you play the full show again, 90 minutes or more than 90 minutes. So there's a lot of adrenaline, and that makes you tired, because you can only be, like you're stressed constantly, and then at one moment you just crash. And yeah, so these kind of shows are harder for me personally, because there's so much, I have to focus so much. I have to watch the conductor. We both are actually the captains of the ship in a way, because he makes sure that the orchestra is ready. He gives me the sign, we start the song, and I always have to observe what's going on. And so it is very different. Yeah, the whole preparation is more intense. During the show, it's more intense. Yeah, I often enjoy it after the show, not necessarily during the show.
Oh, but you get me stressed just by listening to you describing all these things, because I get the physical part, and then you have an extra stress, right? To not lose the contact with the conductor. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of musicians, a lot of professional, phenomenal musicians, and so you don't want to, you don't want to not be professional or mess things up. And so it's like you try to be extra precise or extra good. And even though all of those musicians are super lovely, and they sometimes tell, if you're tired, make a break, it's not a problem, but somehow I just feel like it's important that they experience the whole band always playing with them, because they need it. They are sometimes overwhelmed with the volume or the intensity of the metal part, but this is exactly why we have rehearsals. This is exactly why we need to be playing together.
And a silly question, but that always comes to mind while watching, right? A performance like that. Do these guys like the music Septic Flesh are playing, or they don't, let's say, care? Who knows?
Both. It's both. An orchestra is a bunch of very interesting people put together. So you have the super classical musicians that have been doing this for many, many years. You know, they just go there, they play their things, and they go back home. It's like clockwork, you know. And then you have certain people in the orchestra who have been metalheads themselves, and they're fans, and they come over and want to take pictures with you and sign something, and they cannot wait. And especially for Christos, they come to him because they tell him, like, yeah, we have studied your work, and it's an honor to work with you. Then there are people that are like really impressed by, let's say, for example, when I play drums, they have never heard anyone play drums like this, and they would literally take out the phone and start to film during
Look at this
rehearsals.
guy.
Yeah, it's like, what is he doing with his feet? Some of them are like, can you please play more quiet? My ears are hurting. And then you have the percussionists coming over and say, like, don't listen to them. They always
Keep
complain
doing that,
about
keep
us.
doing that.
Keep playing. It's really like this, you know. So actually it's both, you know. You have fans and some who disagree with what you do. Yeah, but it's, you know, for them it's a job.
That's interesting. Are there any plans to film, or have you gotten any film from the two shows in Athens? First of all,
No, because it is just above our budget, to be 100% honest with you. You know, it's a legendary place. It's one of the most important places ever. And it was just not doable by the amount that it would cost us to film something. Plovdiv is going to be a different thing. I'm not 100% sure what the plan is going to be. It's still in the talks. But yeah, unfortunately, that Athens show, as magic it was, on the one hand, I'm happy that we did not film it, because it was a moment you experienced when you were there. And it's sometimes good that things are happening like this. Because, you know, through a screen, even though if it's the most expensive production, it's just not the same thing. And when you were there and, you know, you saw the Acropolis above, and it was like those, you know, 5,500 people, and it's just the sky was, you know, clear, and you play there and you just felt the goosebumps. A live video or live, you know, recording could never ever recreate that. So yeah, I'm happy actually that it happened and it was a thing in the moment.
I got goosebumps right now because I know the place. I know I didn't have the chance to be there, but I know how magical that
of
place
course
is. And,
for Greeks, it's for me it's already something important. But you know, when the plan came up that we will play there, everyone told me, like, you cannot imagine how difficult it is to play there. You cannot imagine how iconic and magical it is. There is no other place. Like, we can play in other places more often than here. It's like unreal, blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, okay. But then, you know, when you're actually there, you walk out. I remember that, you know, first the orchestra comes out. I think then comes the conductor, and then I had to go on stage. And you come out from, you know, the background, and you step out, and then there's this wall of people. Because, you know, an ancient theater is completely different to a normal show. In a normal show, I'm the highest point.
Right.
And I look down. Here's the opposite. You're on the lowest point, and you have like this, and you have like a wall. People are being cramped like this in Acropolis. Christos told me they're very, like, it's here, you know. People don't have much space. It's very cramped and intense. And it was like this because they were louder than us when they started to scream. They were louder than us when we played.
Yeah, because back then they didn't have sound amplification, right? So
exactly.
They had to create the place that the sound from the center goes all the way.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm jealous now, even more. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So what about your solo project? You are involved in I love Death. I love that band. So, and I need to ask you also about Act of Denial. So let's get one thing done. So first of all, for your solo stuff, are you planning to release, record? What are your plans there?
At the moment, I have no plans. I like to be always very free with this. You know, my goal with the solo project is that there are no rules. There is no specific like time frame. Does it have to be another album or not? At the moment, I do not have any capacity to write anything because SepticFlesh just takes all of it. I'm sure that I will compose more music whenever I feel like doing so. But yeah, my main focus right now is a new SepticFlesh album. And I guess right after we recorded the whole process of promotion and video clips and then touring is going on. I wrote the last solo album during the pandemic era, so everybody had time to write and compose. And for me personally, my solo projects are always written very quickly. Like I need to wait for that moment where the creativity strikes. It can be that there's years of nothing happening, and then I literally take the guitar and I feel like, okay, now the flow is here. And usually I write an album within 2-3 weeks. It's like zack. I like, to be honest, to have those when I write an album that it's like a picture. It's a specific time frame.
Yes.
I don't like to change things and expand it over a long period of time because I feel like it's not the same. It doesn't have the same intensity. It often doesn't become better. It becomes worse. So I rather keep it. Like this is it, and this was the actual initial creativity and thought behind it, and that's it.
DAH.
Yes, DAH. So, true, I'm part of DAH, yes, but we have the same issue right here, because as cool as DAH is, it's a mix of musicians that is spread out all around the world, first of all. And then on top of it, everybody has also other projects and is involved in other things. It was quite tricky to do the last album. It could only happen because we all had a little bit time off from our usual things, and for example, I cannot imagine myself writing 2 albums at the same time, like SepticFlesh and DAH. So I don't want that it interferes, and I don't have the time for this now. We'll see what the future will bring, because at the moment it's kind of on hold in terms of new material. But yeah, let's see.
Well, we can have DAH open for SepticFlesh.
Yeah, then I play twice, exactly.
Yeah, why not? And last question about other stuff you're involved. Act of Denial.
Yes.
What's going on? We will ever get the second album?
I doubt it, to be honest, because Act of Denial, for me personally, was like a session work. Yeah, so it was 2 guys from Croatia who contacted me and a bunch of other musicians to make their album. But I haven't heard from them in a long time, and I'm not even sure if they both are still writing music. So this, I feel like, is not something happening. Yeah.
And last question. How much Krimh has changed from the first day he joined SepticFlesh to this day? I mean, as a musician. I'm not talking about you learning more Greek.
Yeah. No, well, let's put it this way. Personally, I've had to learn how to deal with the Greek mentality, and they had to learn how to deal with the Austrian mentality. And I guess it works in a good way, because I have to learn to stress a bit less, and they have to understand that they have to move their ass a little bit more and have to be more organized. So I guess it's a good thing for both of us. Musically speaking, the cool thing about SepticFlesh is that as a drummer, you have to cover all kinds of bases. It's a drummer in SepticFlesh needs to be able to play, of course, brutal, fast things, but you also have to be able to play groovy and sometimes more like cinematic, like percussive. So it is almost like an all-round kind of band, because other bands require you to play blast beats non-stop and be really precise and play as fast as you can. With other bands, it's the opposite. You have to just play groovy. So I find it also challenging to be right in the center of all those different styles of drumming, because you have to be able to do a little bit of everything. And yeah, I guess this is how I changed. For sure, when I was younger, I'm getting older as it is, I was maybe a faster drummer, but it doesn't matter now. I feel like I'm a more experienced drummer. I feel like I have a wider vocabulary. And for me, it's more also how I play certain things, not only what I play. So it's like what intensity you played with what dynamic you play with. I guess I became more dynamic, because when I look back at how I played in the past, it was more like just give it all. But with Septic, there's often sections that are more quiet, and you cannot go full crazy mode. So you need to be able to also go down. So yeah, I guess that would be the change.
So, and I have to correct you. We are not getting older. We are getting wiser. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's put it. Okay.
Krimh, thank you very much. Have a wonderful time in Plovdiv. And see you in Chicago with the rest of the packets. And cannot wait to hear the new music, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I wish you a nice day.
And say, give the best to the rest of the guys.
I will do so.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.